homily for the 12th Sunday of Year B by Father Jeremiah Mutuku. The first reading comes from the book of Job, chapter 38, verses 1, then verse 8 to 11. The Gospel today comes from the book of Mark, chapter 4, verses 35 to 41. Today we hear the response of God to the complaints of Job and his friends. Job had lived a good life, but later misfortunes befell him. His friends, even his wife, asked him, how can a righteous man go through all these trials and tribulations, all these kinds of distress? Could Job be as righteous as he claims? If so, how can we explain the misery that he's going through? Perhaps he had done some sins that we do not know. They advised Job to curse God and die because they thought that God had abandoned Job. But in this, he could not curse God, but Job questioned the justice of God. He asked him, if God, you are justice, why do I have to go these trials? God answers Job and his friends in today's reading by showing his greatness and superiority, and that his ways cannot be judged by any human criteria. God is asking whether Job was present when he created the universe. When God created the sea and all that is in it, God demonstrated that he is the master of the universe and he dictates all what is in it. He shows his power over the universe and everything that is in it. My dear friends, today, the gospel, today we see the disciples of Jesus are trying to cross the river Galilee, and they are in danger because of the heavy storms. They panic and they woke Jesus up. Master, we are about to die. Jesus wakes up and says, peace, be quiet now. And the wind immediately ceased, and there was a great calm. Then he said to them, why are you frightened? Do you not have faith? They were filled with awe and said to one another, who is this? Even the wind and sea obey him. Jesus demonstrated to them that he is the Son of God and he can calm waters and seas, but they are slow to understand. My dear friends, this reading reminds me of a time that we had gone for a school trip, for team building in one of the coastal cities of Kenya. And then we went for one afternoon, we said that we were going to sail to an island in Malindi. Then we had two boats. One boat carried around 20 teachers, and another boat carried around 20 other teachers. So I'm telling you a story of the boat where I sailed myself. In this boat, we were very happy. We could see the fish in the sea, and we were joking there. Even you could jump into the water, swim, and come back to the boat. But because it was a motorboat, at some point, there is something called a carburetor got in certain soups some water. So as you know, in mechanics, when the carburetor touches some water or water gets into the carburetor, the engine switches off because there's no flow of fuel. So that is what happened to us. All of a sudden, the engine went off, and there were strong waves, the afternoon waves of the sea that were coming off. So it would carry us up and down, and we were so frightened. At some point, I was even imagining of what is going to happen to us. I could sense that everybody was frightened. In fact, when the storms came and the waves were coming, we were fighting over the only floater that was there. I remember fighting over one floater, all of us, around 20 or 15 of us, fighting for that floater, so that we were just imagining if the worst becomes the worst, what is going to happen? We were so frightened. At some point, we were so tensed. And everybody was crying about Jesus, Jesus, every time the waves would come. Jesus, I found myself also in the same situation. We were in panic. We were afraid. At some point, the man who was making the engine, the carburetor, switched on the engine, and we started the journey towards the island. I could sense the sigh of relief. Everyone was breathing a sigh of relief. I think that this is what the disciples went through. And it was a very bad and fearful experience. My dear friends, sometimes in the absence of faith and trust that God is all loving, we can also be overwhelmed by the storms, desperation, trials, and tribulations of this world. The storms that the disciples went through are like the storms that we go through in life. In fact, in the Bible, the sea is sometimes interpreted as a place where the evil dwells, or the storms were like forces of evil that were trying to rock the boat of Jesus, where the disciples were. And as you know, the sea, Jesus, when he cast off some evil spirits from this demoniac, they went to pigs, and the pigs ran to the sea, a sign that the sea was believed to be a place where evil dwells, or the abode of the devil. So sometimes we find ourselves rocked by the evils around us, devilish forces that befall us, and at times we can find ourselves fearful like these disciples. What we need today, we are being told by Jesus, is faith. That is why he's asking them, where is your faith? He's also asking us, when storms of life come, when we experience sometimes vulnerability, and sometimes when we are sick, sometimes when we lose the loved ones, sometimes when at times when our life is shattered by some childlessness, or sometimes when our marriage is shattered by infidelity, sometimes when we lose a child that we love most, sometimes when we see the children that we're bringing up not doing what we want, and we feel that our family is being rocked up and down, sometimes when our faith is tested and rocked by failure in our career or our business failure, sometimes we feel that like God has abandoned us. And it is this time when we need to listen to Jesus. He's telling us, where is your faith, my dear friends? At such times, some people may even run to temptation to consult occultists and sorcerers, and in the end, they end up completely being ruined. Sometimes people look for they move from one pillar to a post in quest for solutions, and sometimes they fall in the hands of thieves, rogues, and fraudsters, or sometimes in the hands of magicians, who sometimes camouflage as pastors and visionaries, prophets, and powerful men and women of God. My dear friends, the gospel story today, Jesus is giving us strength and hope that amidst all these storms of life, he is instructing us to trust in his mighty power and care. For even the deepest waters are subject to him. Even the storms are subject to him. The point is that the faith of God, if we feel that the faith we have is shaky, then we need to strengthen our belief. God does not protect believer against trials and tribulations of life. The believer remains subject to all these sufferings and pain trials. But the hope that we have is that in the midst of all these, God is there to fight on our side. The book of Sirach 2:1 says, "My child, if you aspire to secure the Lord, prepare for ordeal." Jesus said, "Whoever wishes to be a follower of mine must deny himself, take up my cross and follow me." This means that by being believers in God does not mean that trials and sufferings will not come to us. So, we are confronted by life challenges. This does not indicate that God has abandoned us. My dear friends, First Samuel tells us that God's thoughts, Isaiah tells us, God's thoughts are not our thoughts. His ways are different from our ways. And this we see in the book of Isaiah chapter 55, 8-9. If we have faith in God in times of trials, we will trust and turn to him in prayer and wait. He will eventually shield us by his power from these trials. Isaiah 43, 1-3. He says, "Do not be afraid, for I have called you. I have called you by name, you are mine. In waters I will be with you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burnt, and the flames will not consume you. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of God." Isaiah also says, can a mother who is breastfeeding her baby throw out her baby with a birth tube? Yes, he says it is easier for a mother to do that. But for God who loves us and who is our mother and father, who will never throw us away, my dear friends. Faith in God will not insulate us from the harsh realities of life. Faith gives us strength to triumph over these trials and help us to walk in this turbulence. Faith points us, for we have a heavenly hope, and this is our hope, where there will be no trials and tribulations. Are you troubled by anything? My dear friend, Jesus is not very far from you. You only need to call on him. He's just next to you. Call on him. He's going to calm your storms in life. Thank you.